Welcome to our webinar for today. Today is International Women's Day, and we are going to talk about women. What are we going to talk about women? We're going to talk about how we can help women to flourish in organizations. How can we help them to be able to thrive? And to help us to do so, we have three fantastic panelists. The first is, of course, a man. We need a man to help us out. And the man is Coen. Coen is one of the best trainers I've ever met. He's real, he's authentic. And when he trains, he's able to reach out and to be able to touch the true core of where a person is and where he can lead him to. So, Coen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Coen, and I'm a facilitator as well as a coach. And talking about coaching, right? It's like I've been working with female speakers here in Singapore as part of a platform called Keynote to empower women to take the stage and to share their messages. So it's been really rewarding being part of this journey, and I've gotten very, very attached to this message here of being a woman champion, and I look forward to sharing my thoughts in today's panel.
Thank you very much, Coen. And the next person we have is a lady from Singapore. Her name is Christine. She is one of the group HR directors here in the hospitality industry, and she's here to share with us all her industry expertise from being in the HR, from working with both men and women to see how women can thrive in organizations. Christine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Christine, and thanks, Serene, for inviting me for this session. I would just wanted to share with you a little bit more about myself. Is that I have been in the HR environment for about 20 years. I started like 5 years old, so that is the reason why I have been able to have the opportunity to share this little idea that I have. And while I have been in hospitality, in telco environment, and also in the IT environment for a while, and mainly my key focus area is talent management, and also in the HR operations. Yeah, and quite familiar in the HRMS as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we saved the best for last, all the way from Sweden, our one and only feminist. Yes, a lady and a feminist, and a lady who has spent her entire life fighting not just for women's rights, but just for human rights. A lady who has been spoken for the last 20 years on all sorts of stages, trying to ask people to please be more nice to each other. So, Charlotte!
Hey, thank you for inviting me for this. I'm really honored to be a part of your panel. Yes, I'm working as a keynote speaker, and I'm a kind of stand-up comedian also, and I really want people to understand the human rights, and part of that is to become a feminist, because then you understand that the human rights are usually for male people, and you want them for kids and women as well, and intersexual people also. So this is what I spend all my awake hours for talking about and learning about, and sometimes I change my mind in some areas, but to give people confidence to take the space they have the right to have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. What can business leaders do to support women in their teams to be able to flourish in their organization?
There was a survey in Sweden a few years ago where they were looking for people for the, I don't know the word, Royal Orchestra. I don't know the word.
Yeah,
Symphony
Orchestra.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
A big one anyway, and they wanted more women auditions. The committee couldn't see who is playing the instrument. They could just listen, and when they didn't have to show themselves, both the men and the women, it became 50-50 men and women they were choosing from. But when they could see the one who is playing the instrument, the women look so insecure when they are entering the stage. So they do not hire them. But when they are just listening to the exact performance, they took the females as often as the men. That made a big change for females entering the stage for this, audition for this big symphony orchestra. It was really interesting, and I think they have been done this kind of auditions are now made in all Europe, I think. When you don't see who is playing the harmonica, then you just choose from the competence.
I made a case for organizations, right, to instead of just access current performance and current competency, or even competency based on their ability to present themselves, like Charlotte says, ability to show up on stage, right, your stage presence, for example. I think it's also up to organizations to look beyond the current abilities and look at their potential abilities. Look at what this woman can be and give her more opportunities to be promoted so that she would eventually become the person that she can be.
Totally, yes.
I feel that women are less likely to suffer from what is called the Peter principle. That's my hypothesis. The Peter principle is the principle of being promoted beyond your level of competence. So I think sometimes men, right, they're very good at faking it till we make it kind of thing. And then when we get into the level of of competence, we just stagnate, But because women, right, they always feel like they need to be 160% sure. So if they are promoted to the position of head of department, for example, they will continue to seek personal development and professional development. As a facilitator and run several workshops, I found that the women in my workshops seems to participate better. Maybe not because the facilitator is a guy, but I think they seem to be more enthusiastic about learning. They ask more questions. They participate more actively. Whereas men sometimes can get promoted to a level that they no longer continue to grow themselves. They are a little bit more self-assured of themselves. Yeah.
Agree. And I noticed when we organize a leadership workshop for them, you will notice that those breaks, the small breakout session, women will tend to stay in their groups and then discuss, and all the men will go out and then check their emails and then they take 5 breaks. And you can see that the attitude is very, very different, because you will see those that stay in the room willing to exchange and then network, but for the guys is that I have known enough, I will just go out and so you will see the difference and their learning attitude in that area.
So I also want to say that women make better leaders because they'll continue to model the learning attitude.
It's just that the moment they want to step in, the moment we want to do a selection, they are so worried.
As leaders, right? I mean, to answer your question, Serene, what can we do to really encourage more women? I think we need to really give them opportunity to step up and try. I mean, the act of trying, the act of even stepping up, it's so important, just allowing them to, for one of a better word, lean in, as Sheryl Sandberg would say. To lean in, and not just lean in, but lean up. Just lean in and lean up a little. Let's just let them raise their hands up and say, I'll try. And reward that attempt to try. Reward that courage to try. Because if we don't reward that courage, what we're going to do is we're sending a kind of a signal to them that, we would rather you put your foot down and say, I'll do it, instead of we try. I think confidence is overrated in this situation.
Earlier you were talking about music. Music, I can just listen. But what if it's a salesperson? I can't possibly say, I want a salesperson with no confidence, right? So, and I wouldn't know what's the competence of a salesperson until I've already hired them and they have started, producing or not.
The ideal person that I'm seeing as a leader, they must self-confident and believe on what they can do, and at the same time with the right direction of where the company wanted to drive. When you have set a goal, the company's goal, you will drive this direction to where she would like to be. And while driving this, you will need to be aggressive and you need to be hungry to be able to reach that goal together. Because right now, the current marketplace that I see, there is a lot of leaders that they want to be, but not able to be. There is a lot of goals, a lot of vision that the leaders wanted to drive, but they themselves must know where is the direction, because too many distractions, too many things that they wanted to make things happen, but they are not able to.
Christine, you mentioned the word hungry, right? And I want to lash onto that word. A hungry woman might be seen in less favorable terms in the workplace. That's what I noticed. And
But
a
I will
hungry man is
use
desirable. So what would you say to
no.
that?
I will put it as which role. A salesperson, being male or female, you have to be hungry, or else you will not survive.
So is there a marked difference between a hungry woman and a hungry man? Is there a
No.
ideal picture?
No
But
difference.
actually, I don't agree with that, because I think there's a lot of studies, and it's also been my personal experience, that the moment you're very aggressive and you are, in a bit like, ostracized for quite a bit. Because I used to be a lot more aggressive. And in many organizations, when I come in, I mean, I'm not in sales. I've never been in sales. I'm in HR. But when I come in, I want to make things happen. And I tell you, I get you will not believe the amount of cold storage I've been put in just because of that. Yes, but for a guy, it's perfectly acceptable. But for a lady, no way.
It's not just gender, it's always ethnicity. I mean, what skin color you have in Sweden affects a lot what people say to you. And it's also about age. It's interesting. It changed over the years, the kind of answer you can give, and also the kind of challenge you have. Nowadays, nobody asks me, do you know how to read a budget? But they did 20 years ago. They say, do you know the budget? Could you read it? And I was like, well, yeah, I know. But today there are other things they are very surprised if I know how my computer works. That kind of, I mean, different kind of issues.
What can men do to help women thrive in organizations?
Yeah, I think letting women be very different. They're not just one kind of woman. They can be aggressive, they can be shy, they can be hungry, they can be hungry but not showing it in a way you expect. Women are not one kind of human beings. There are very, very many different kind of women as men.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Coen?
I heard this recently, but, and I want to quote from a friend of mine. He says, there's no such thing as women.
No.
There's no such thing as women. What do you mean by women? Woman is every individual human being. You got to treat a woman as a woman. Don't just put women into a box. And so sometimes when we over discuss women in leadership, women this, women that, and then unfortunately the operative word become women. We kind of like generalize women. I think that's very dangerous, and that's actually getting in the way of really seeing women for who they really are.
Thank you very much, Coen. Christine, do you want to add to that?
Well, I agree, and as in I think it's important to see the role itself and not whether it's a woman or male. I think it's the role that they can carry out and deliver, and it's not about a gender to take that or deliver that task. Yeah, so take away that, and the mindset of a man should be seeing a compliment from a female. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to bring this as a female and a male that can do a good job, because in the hard way, the men more domineering way of bulldoze the way, but women can actually come in and soft touch the whole situation, and I think it will work, make a very good working environment than all the hard way to get things done. It can get things done, but it may not be a happy environment. So I think women have put quite a fair good piece to this area. Yeah, I think so.
So, but I also say what happened in Sweden the last years is also what kind of job does men or boys look for? Are they allowed to be a nurse? Are they allowed to work with in kindergarten? Are they allowed to, that is also interesting, because then you go into an individual point where you make your own choice, and that's interesting. And from that point of view, people also start to see women as, now we have a lot of, what do you say, painters, wall painting, and everything female in Sweden. And it's also interesting because in Russia, that is a female area. To build inside apartments is a female thing. Outside is a male thing. They are both heavy, but it's very strange in Russia with a man who is painting walls. That is all discussion. In Sweden, it's a man's job. So it's not, I mean, the more global we become, some of the gender borders have to be, changed. And that's interesting, I think. But when we are looking at this, what kind of job do you think is possible for you? It's also that young people are looking for what kind of support could I have for my choice?
That's the reason why in onboarding, when the new joiners come into the organization, we wanted to put in buddy system to make sure that this someone can adjust and adapt to the new environment, and then at least have someone for them to talk to, and also introduce mentoring session for them, and a touch point from HR, and then to make sure that they are okay. So because when we bring someone in, they quit from one job to join us, and we wanted to make sure that they are successful. So this is what HR, honestly speaking, it's not only for female. Male, we do the same thing, but we take a little bit more special care for the women, and especially those with young parents, the mothers, or new families, that we wanted to give them special cares, like for example a nursing room and all these things, just to make sure that these are little things that do not need to worry. We will take care of it.
A long time ago in Sweden, they always said that real high level women acted like men. But that kind of generation is probably, they have been retired. There is a new kind of high level women, because they behave a little different. They were choosing the company they will work for out of their values, the company values, and they were very concerned. Almost the most important thing were, who is going to be my boss? If it's not a good boss, they said no to the job.
Today, one of the big takeaway, and is a point that I still reiterate, is that women may come across as a little less confident in the choice of words and the way they show up, either in meetings or in presentations or in the workplace. But I think sometimes when they say things like, I would try, whereas a man will say, I can do it, give the job to me. I think what we want to do to encourage more women to step up is not just to lean in, but to lean up a little. And when they raise a hand, when they have the courage to raise a hand and say, I would like to try, and let's just take their words for it and just reward their trying. Just let them try, let them experiment, right? As Charlotte say, being comfortable with the feelings of uncertainty, right? I think we need to try until we become confident. Confidence is a product of successfully navigating difficulties, right? Confidence do not just come from day one, but sometimes when people just put up their hands and say, hey, I can do it, but how much of it is really overconfidence? How much of it could be an effect of Dunning-Kruger effect? How much of it could be really being so confident that you're not willing to learn? So I think that when women step up, they have that growth mindset, and they're more willing to invest the time, energy, effort to develop themselves personally and professionally. So I think we have to reward that courage for women to step up. So that, to me, is going to shift the needle and move the needle so that we have more women leaders, more women representation in senior leaders, and also more women willing to offer themselves as leaders. So that'll be my summary for today.
Thank you so much for the three of you for coming by and participating in this webinar. I really appreciate it, for you taking this time and coming and speaking to me and sharing your valuable views and your expert insights. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlotte,
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you all.
Christine.
Yes, thank you.